Is it like one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice? First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from March 28th meeting. Motion concluded. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Item is preliminary final minor subdivision for 137 South Limekiln Pike. And we'll get that. Even. I mean, it's just so. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Butch with Showalter and Associates. I'm the design engineer for the project. Here with Jim Bienza with Prestige Property Partners, the applicant. We are here looking for your recommendation for approval of a 2-lot minor subdivision on Limekiln Pike. The property is currently owned by Craig and Pauline Police, who bought the property back in 2015. It's a 5-acre site in the SR2 zoning district, and it currently has a multifamily building on it with 4 multifamily dwellings. The B6 is a B6 multifamily. This is not permitted by ordinance, and back in February, we went to the zoning hearing board and requested and were granted a variance to allow that existing multifamily building to remain on the property. As I said, it's a 5-acre property, so the subdivision would create 2 equally sized parcels, a little bit over 2 acres each. So the multifamily building would now be located on what was proposed to be located on a 2-acre property instead of the existing 5-acre parcel. So the proposed, do you have version of the plan in front of you?
Yeah.
What do you have a plan in front of you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the line on the top is the we're calling lot 1, and the lot below we're calling lot 2. Lot 2 is proposed to be improved with a single-family home. So that's all the improvements. All of the improvements are proposed to occur on lot 2. So there's a new house, new driveway, new rain garden proposed to handle the stormwater runoff associated with that new building. Like I said, we submitted plans for review to the township. We have letters from Gilmore and Associates. I have a letter from the Bucks County Planning Commission. All of the comments in the Bucks County Planning Commission letter are will comply items. They had 4 comments related to Parks and Rec land, which we dedicated, is proposed to be dedicated for Leafy in lieu. They asked for street trees, which are proposed. They asked for tree protection fencing, which is proposed. And the stormwater management basin, like I said, is the rain garden that is proposed in the rear lot. The Gilmore letter is dated April 18th, 2023. And all of the items in that letter are either will comply or there are 4 waivers that we can run through. And otherwise, everything else in the letter is will comply. As far as water and sewer, the existing building had well and septic system that's proposed to be retained. Proposed home is intended to have a new septic system constructed and it will be connected to public water. North Wales water already water main straight there. The way I can run through the waivers if you like, or if you have any questions about the layout of the plan, before.
I can find the driveway of the other lot.
Okay, so
Not the new lot, but where the multifamily is.
Yeah, it's because it's on the lot next to it. There's an existing
That's
cross
what
easement.
this easement.
Yeah, there's a utility and driveway cross easement that permit the multifamily building to take aspects off of one. And that's the risk they,
That's where it exists now.
yes.
Um,
I think it was.
They're not proposing any changes to the existing facility for dwellings. The only,
who's
the only.
property?
The next door one,
Yeah, that where the easement for the,
I actually,
actually it says it's with hand, Amanda Hand.
Amanda now.
Oh, is that Hand? Okay.
So that's a flag lot there. There's a, they
Yeah.
access. The building that the Hamlin would occupy is also uses the same driveway.
So it's always been that way, and that's a done deal all arranged and shared.
There's a shared driveway.
but the zoning hearing board got ready. February 16, 2023, that's what held them up. That's been resolved as far as the lot acreage for the existing dwelling units on that lot that Deb you just mentioned, so they're in compliance now with, well, they received the variance needed to be in compliance for reducing the lot area that existing lot, so. We only had one zoning comment, and I understand that which you said to go comply, and
Which
you
was-
did receive a letter from PennDOT, I believe, they had no comments. Driveway.
Yeah, we think
They
with the
get permitted.
driveway, we don't have the permit yet. but we're still getting
PennDOT already reviewed it, they had no comments. They had one comment, they resolved that, so that's actually already been resolved, which typically at this point, to have that resolved, but soon while they're getting a zoning hearing board decision, they work things out with PennDOT. So that's related to the waivers of curb and sidewalk. Road improvements under C2. No, in fact, I don't have any issues. If everything's will comply, really comes down to a single family home now. We've got the zoning relief, 4 waivers we support. The other waivers for some monumentation, just a lot of monuments that are needed. They have plenty out there. It's not that we're not waiving all the monuments, just waiving the number of monuments. And then, the last one has to do with the lot line, which isn't a big deal under subdivision. We support all the waivers, zoning's been resolved, and I have no other comments to go over. I think that will comply with more technical needs in. That's a pretty short letter. So I have no other comments on the project.
Question from the board?
Clarify when the driveway. So access is from the same driveway?
Yeah.
To the new structure?
No, not the new.
New ones up.
Oh,
the existing driveway, that this lot uses back here, and then this building here is the same driveway. And then the new driveways.
thank you.
And there was no, excuse me. There was no easy way to eliminate that shared condition. On to simplify and let that place have its own driveway.
No, I think the owners have considered installing the new stuff to driveways, but not.
Would they be able to do it?
There is room to fit a driveway between the edge of the property line and the.
They don't need to do anything? They friends.
Any question? Anybody?
Make a motion, the motion was for preliminary final, yes? Yes. To approve this, 137 South Line from Pike subdivision. Based on the stack of papers. Yeah.
2023, so we cover everything else, so if you reference everything that kind of.
Um,
Then that's, there's no other condition.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was easy, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Next item is, Birch conditional use application, Island and West Butler Avenue.
Oh.
Vacancy. Do you have plans? Can you, we have to have
Yeah,
two boards. Today I have two boards. We can face one to you or one to the.
Yeah. If I could just ask you to hold one minute. Mary, were you here for this? Okay. I didn't want to hold you up if you had something else in mind.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just jump in a second, and I think you've seen this project at least once at sketch plan meeting place. Plan looks substantially the same. This is for conditional use only, so just for everybody's edification, not public here, but they also have to come back for preliminary and final approval for what we did more technical stuff. They have worked out a lot of the technical stuff because of the uniqueness of this project and where it's laid or where it fits in with the timeline and Butler Avenue and the Wawa project. They did work through a lot of issues already through the sketch plan. And tonight is just traditional use. We can get into any issues you want, but the issues supposed to be reasonable conditions. We can focus on my letter today. Dave has a memo as well, and my letter. I'll turn it back over to you guys, but this is focused on the issue part of it, and not into all the technical stuff. If there are technical comments, I don't mind that, but we'll save that for the preliminary plan after.
Agreed. Yeah. Our letter is April 19th, 2023.
Should be after all the toll,
After everything, after all.
after the plan. Yep.
This whole bit. I have that. Yeah. Oh, there it goes. That.
Great, so. Just to clarify, Sam, you're the only one here, I'll direct this directly to you. Conditional use is, it's an allowable use by the zoning ordinance. But the supervisors are permitted to put certain conditions on that use. So, in other words, what Craig was saying was, we're here tonight just for that specific reason, not to approve this plan, not to go over all the technical aspects of it, just the conditional use of it. Okay?
Good evening. My name is Dave Fox from Overmeyer on behalf of Toll Brothers. Brian Theron, to my left, Senior Vice President of Toll Brothers. And John, I'm going to put your right, John Biano, with ESC Consulting. We are here for a part of a planned community center mixed PCCM development. So, and forgive me if it's somewhat repetitive. This property being raised is part of an assemblage of 3 properties, which together have to be developed as a planned commercial center mix development by way of a previous zoning hearing board decision and it's a prior conditional use application involving wildlife. So really, this property can only be developed within the parameters of the PCCM zoning. I apologize to the planning commission, and this is repetitive. You've heard us. We initially started this with 66 units. we've worked backwards, because we've worked our way through the zoning ordinance, so we're now, it was either going to be 66 B6 attached stacked townhouses, or we had hoped for 64 B5 units. But when you work through all the requirements of the township zoning ordinance and talked about required open space, buffering and right of way and design criteria, we've gotten to a place for 44 B5 attached units. Single family attached units are what is the by right density for the site. The benefit, though, for the township, because of the shape of the property, the existing right of ways, connectivity considered previously with the Wawa, there's an additional about 0.7 acres, I'm sorry, 0.9 acres or so of open space in addition than is otherwise required. So that creates the amount of greenery you see on the plan. We've provided all the materials required for the conditional use application, which, as you mentioned, so it's a lot of paper. Craig's office has reviewed them thoroughly, and we have the review letter from April 19th, 2023. Some of the requirements of the PCCM are also architectural in nature, so we've provided elevations as well, which we believe comply with PCCM requirements. This is also within the Butler Avenue corridor overlay district. So we have additional requirements that we have to meet. We believe we do meet, which really means that there's an aesthetically pleasing development given all the considerations the township has placed within its ordinance. Generally, Craig's letter will comply. There are three things that the Board of Supervisors is being asked to consider relief from, which is allowable within the conditional use process. Those are on page 2. One is from section 27305 J31, the 11E1. We're asking for 2 community identification signs. The PCCM signage requirements limit us to 1 entrance sign per 500 feet of street frontage. Really, I don't know that we actually have 500 feet of street frontage on this property, given that the only real street frontage is to County Line Road. So we'd like to have an entrance sign along Access Road and Access Road A and along Road B. John, can I show you to point those out? I know they're noted on the plans. I'm not able to articulate. Yeah.
Access Road to County Line Road. Leave that away.
Yep.
And actually, I know there's been discussions on the second one, which is, I'm not quite sure where we ended up. On the second one.
The main entrance feature, it would be right here along the access road and Road A. And then the secondary would be on Road B, just inside of our.
Thank you, Emily. And our hope is that's viewed as consistent with the PCCM requirements. That this is, all 3 of these properties are to be integral and developed together, and they're one of the key criteria for the PCCM is circulation to the residential, to and from the commercial to the residential, being able to clearly delineate that this is Birch Run would be helpful, and hopefully that's only going to be seen within the PCCM development itself, so it's not going to clutter up any streetscape on County Line or Butler Ave. It's really private, the notes the entrances. Hopeful that's an agreeable recommendation. We're also asking for 37 foot tall townhouses where a maximum of 35 feet is permitted. This is largely driven by the roof pitch. We could meet the 35 foot, however, just a lower steep, lower pitch roof. This doesn't look as architecturally pleasing. It looks, well, you don't get the same level of architectural detail. And given that we're increasing the buffering, and we can plant larger buffer plantings to help minimize any impact. But this is really, it's an infill development, and we don't believe that there's any real impact to the surrounding property owners, so we're hopeful that it's an agreeable.
Do you have any architectural?
We do, actually. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, that's okay. We can. That's all right.
Got a moment, all right.
So.
Havana too, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Go down into the garage?
Very low. Right, very,
It's on grade. There's no down slope. It's just.
You use a wide angle lens or something?
Yeah.
Stretch them out. Only 22 feet wide.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what we'd see from the streetscape. You see with the front turn gables on the roof, those become a little more difficult with a lower pitched roof, and you lose some of what the architectural impact is. And given that the PCCM sets forth specific architectural materials, and we have to have jogs and setbacks within the building itself, we're hopeful that we could increase when offset or when mitigated by additional buffer plantings. Wouldn't be.
Don't get why that garage door looks so. Or maybe it's just from here.
I think, so
Yeah,
that,
then that just-
so the angle, if you're looking at the picture on the bottom right, I believe.
it's shallow.
Oh, but
Well, you know what it is?
And
There's
there's also, there's a roof feature
No.
of the garage.
in the glass, the top panel of the garage.
Assuming the sun down.
Sun shines in the brick. And the third item, we're asking for is disturbance of conservation easement. For the connectivity, to the Wawa parcel within an existing conservation easement. So what is being recommended is that trees removed being replaced with 20 trees, 200 trees per acre for a total of 20 replacement trees. We're happily able to comply with that, and disturbing this minimal area of the conservation easement allows us to do what we're supposed to do within the PCCM district. That's going to provide the connectivity from Wawa to Birch Run down West.
Road B.
Yeah, that's really, that's what the planning commission board both asked for that connection. So that's, we want that connection, that's kind of a no-brainer one.
And there's an existing
There is an
easement
existing
through the conservation.
So that's why it's a 30-foot this easement there already, so it's in the same exact spot.
Was that the connector road that was supposed to go all the way up to,
Yeah.
Cedar Hill?
When you. No. When Wawa was being developed, they had a little property. And a similar layout, and that's where they have proposed it. And if you went 30-foot utility.
Correct.
So they're gonna amend that and have an access system. But no, that's not where they're.
I know that's pretty much locked off now with the latest development, but would that still give access to that? Because
Well, this one. only-
that's been closed for 30 years.
No, because that will come out, we had actually laid out to Area Avenue to Schoolhouse. That's what it's not. We never took it. Just, I did.
It was supposed to go behind,
There may be some run, well, behind the old Acme store and all that.
all the way down behind the flower.
But we never required it. So that's not your.
It was just, it was on paper.
question? Is there any, for the parcels that, Butt Road needs to eliminate their, to access and to?
Part of that.
We're showing it on, I'm showing you,
Yeah,
they can tie in there.
oh, cool, thank you.
Yeah,
They didn't want to.
No, oh, yeah.
Oh, the hell, that's right on Butler right there.
yes, and there's a potential
Oh,
for that
there,
to tie in there.
Thank you, the dotted line.
We hope to, assuming we're able to get conditional use, we come back during the, assuming that's a condition.
You're gonna put their driveways in for us?
Well,
They're actually not being cooperative.
We're not
We're not
cooperative.
concerned,
Yeah.
there's improvements that could be done out that when the Wawa was built. I forget who the landowners wanted, but
For detail, maybe.
yeah, the detail lane. And we had all that laid out, the lines that have eaten to the back. Most of them don't want it. Yeah, to the back.
He didn't, even the original.
No,
No,
that's
not cooperative.
So if they have a curb cut, there's a note on the plan, that's goes in the record plan title and that's their purview.
He's there for the next guy.
Or, so those are the three kind of discussions.
Yeah.
Everything else is will comply then.
If everything else is a will comply, including traffic comments. And the last comment, on page 4, I'd say the general requirements, sound standards, of subdivision land development practice, and also including the Butler Avenue corridor overlay district. We're showing some community amenities, benches, the community area. So,
Where's that?
Um,
On the plan?
if
Sorry, I'm not as pretty. That, in the open area, there's a mailbox, cluster, community mailbox, a couple benches in that area.
Oh, top left.
They want
We're kind of.
liability issues.
Oh, wait.
Absolutely. I'm gonna. You probably just had some, or I have four right now. Not in this township, but lawsuits with anybody trying to use them, the liability is the HOA only, it's trespassing. Make it public access, public easement.
Oh.
But it's, well, because unless you wanna omit. The for only somebody knows the liability. And everybody else in the community outside can kind of use those.
Yes, okay. Well, that's too bad.
Now, in this case, there's not easy connectivity to,
No, I mean, well,
they're paying fee in lieu of for the parking there.
it's just not easy to.
no,
Mark plan.
so the other piece of this, because it's an unlotted subdivision, will be fences. The green spaces on the plan are substantially community open space. So, that
Better gazebo.
we propose, we have the benches, I mean. If there's something else that, it's that the elbow bend would seem to be the natural community gathering point.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just, you've got sidewalks, right? It seems like basically, I think those garage doors are left, right? They
What's that?
pull in and they push their button and they go in and they go right up inside and they never see them.
Turn on Netflix.
Unless they go, yeah, unless they go out for a walk, and if they go out for a walk, maybe it'd be nice to have a few more benches. How about a few more benches in like, between 16, 17, sorry, this is not. That's it. Fine.
Well, we're good.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
It's reasonable, I would tell you it's reasonable.
yeah, that,
I can tell you, people from Wawa are not gonna be coming and sit on the benches. No, thanks. Don't think, you get beer in that Wawa, I don't. That's nice.
All of these houses,
I digress. As you know.
Restricted deck sizes, but the specific size that people can put on, so it's just what you want. You have one person going out, one person small, we'll kind of standardize that. Which is,
Located.
could I ask for clarification about what this? The road, there's no connectivity. Because the storage place is there and there's no access, right? So there's no way for people who live here to easily get down Schoolhouse Road to.
we are showing the easement Like we a proposed easement over to the storage facility, you can sort of see it, if that connection was ever viable. I think the storage facility was coming through the township,
We
I
have,
think.
we have an easement to go, if Roby was continued. And then look at the old active storage unit now, there is an easement to go out, that's area avenue I think, there.
Hmm.
We originally had, as Jim mentioned, there was sketches of that. And the residents were all, opposed to it, as you, that they don't want anybody going back there, but. We do have an easement, I believe, neighboring property. Something, but it's not enough for a road, like, it's more. That's.
Oh, we could Pike too. Yeah.
I'm gonna take
The
that.
original concept, the original concept is just to connect the road for, rather than go out onto 202, you could go from your house on Schoolhouse to what's now Wawa.
Yeah.
Without going in.
That was all before the bypass was built. Everybody was jammed up, but find an alternate way of people to. You know, get to the stores without going out on the Butler to, now the bypass is built.
And now with that light at the wall, that makes sense.
Yeah.
To go that
Other concept.
on your bike.
We'll leave the easement on the plan. So who knows what's gonna happen with next. If storage is no longer a viable option and 50 years from now, you will have an easement that connectivity can be made. And we're happy to have that. I don't think anybody wants to see currently the dead end street into somebody else's property, instead of bites. And stuff we don't want.
And that was a discriminant currently there, and I agree with that. I didn't want that. Paved the whole way to the property, when people are trying to start parking back there and showing outside of it. Traffic engineer now. That's not, if we get everything else worked out, that's a small piece of it.
Sorry, just thinking, I'm just.
Yeah, I apologize. So no, so the layout is to prevent what Dean was saying, is to not have people kind of hanging out back there.
This is, just a completely, I just don't understand my question, but the conservation easement that's here at Road 3 that provides connectivity to the Wawa. That means that would normally have just been left like open space. But then,
You can put on access that way, that's right.
There's utilities to, needs water,
Water,
there's a water line. Yes,
so is there some compensation for that loss of the?
they agreed to plant your trees.
Which is what
So that was a condition of. Or,
the conservation easement right now has trees in it, so we're. Agreeing to replace trees at the township tree replacement ordinance ratio.
Why don't you drop a couple of houses?
We did.
Where, when you're saying, so they're gonna be offsite trees, replaced offsite or onsite?
I'm not sure. They have.
we room on
Not,
that.
we on-site, or B.
Shade.
Right next to the-
We can, specific to that, we can, yeah, I think they got the message yet. And you see the preliminary plans.
Is there still discussion of, turning them up the county line road, was that, decided or is that sort of preliminary? I don't wanna miss an opportunity.
You have any updates with PennDOT or?
I mean, as we can go deeper in the county line, we talked before about the left turn, right, coming out left turn, so there may be discussions with restricting the time on the left-hand turn.
Right.
The complicated part with this is, you know, are the trips that we're gonna add to County Line Road are far outweighed than Wawa's existing trips, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's enough traffic that's making the left on County Line. We're asking them, like, we don't know if these 44 homes that trips generated that way will pick it over a certain point. But we raised the concern with PennDOT that you guys had and said, you know, we're open, our homeowners will be open. Having some kind of restriction on left turn lane. But Wawa probably doesn't have that same feeling, you know what I mean?
But you don't know that.
No, when we go to PennDOT. Brent gets a copy of every single thing we submit. But I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're able to weigh in whatever the township position is so that PennDOT hears that. And they probably take your request with a little more weight than applicants, so.
It's restricted now, right?
It's not, no, it's not.
So,
That's what I'm.
I mean, it's Wawa's generated,
You know,
yeah, well, I'm sure they care that they. Go back to this. But. It's also, is that on your property or they have an easement over your,
They haven't used it over the property.
it's not their property.
oh, so you could. They have an easement over your property. You could do it if and not approved, and that would be too bad.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
That seems to us. We're fine. Like, we're on
Yeah.
10.
Gotcha.
It's easier to do that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, right, do we need to?
Maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
No, I was gonna ask Nate if he had anything to go over.
No, I mean, I will. We spent a lot of time with you and board supervisors and sketch, and we generally were appreciative of that time spent, because to go from 66 to 44. I do think we have an end result that.
set a new record?
Well, no, it's considering, take it, but considering what can be developed in a PCCM. And to get some of these missing pieces of connectivity and meet the requirements of that, and also thinking about the Butler Avenue corridor overlay district requirements. I do think the end result is a really great finished development. It finishes out this PCCM. No, and we're certainly not the first people to try it. And I think if you look at development from Butler Avenue from intensity, this does a nice job of taking very intense commercial development, Wawa, then medium intensity townhouse, B5, detached dwelling development back to single family homes. You get a nice reasonable transition instead of some of the other permitted uses, which probably would have been a significant impact to the rear neighbors more so than so. But and you guys have got a lot of input in where we are, so I'm appreciative and hopefully can. Must be a recommendation.
I was just gonna say that sometimes it looks like this is all, there's not much to discuss, but we spent a year. We came in April and we got a lot of what
Stacked townhouses.
Yeah.
Stack them.
There was no, there's no. I'm saying, traffic was a big thing, to density. They find good stuff, but, to me, this plan won't change through this project. They're gonna fully engineer the top that we started. It's not gonna change. You're gonna see the same layout. Everything's gonna be kind of locked down there for initial use. But no, I think it shows that I did advise that maybe that's how should we do this. We did at High Point, same thing where we go through sketch plans and then conditional use, and then by the time you get to this stage, big picture stuff and like that. So I think they've listened. We've had some internal back and forth, on some of the technical stuff, but I don't have any other comments as long as they're complying with the rest of the conditions. The three that were mentioned, that the board will have to weigh in. I'd recommend, unless the planning commission has objections, I would recommend you also support items A1, 2, and 3 that Nate just described.
Are we unusual in requiring a maximum height of 35 feet?
It's been changing, and especially in industrial areas. And he does a lot more building than I do, but yeah, other towns just don't worry, or not worry, but you're more rural, so it is a bigger impact here than it is in the lower end of the county where we have a lot of older structures that are way above the So here it sticks out a little bit more. I wouldn't be as concerned here on, based on the architecture, it's not like they're at the 40 weeks, I'd have an issue with that. I think they would understand that, but
Yeah, I
I
just
think
wonder,
I'm fine with 2 feet, but it's not an engineering issue.
It's typically where the measurement starts from, and a lot of it's the measurement. I mean, sometimes it's your lower starting points, you get up to that height, we're a lot quicker.
I might be a little tough, so there's flexibility. It was written that way on purpose, instead of them going to get a variance. That ordinance was written to give a little discretion.
And I think it's in half the municipalities, this wouldn't come up because of the way the measurement is taken. Here, it's something that, this is a 37-foot tall home instead of a 35 person. Another municipality would be considered 30.
yeah, I just wondered if it's like Greek. Bigger.
Okay, interesting. Not my neighborhood, anyway.
So, Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything else.
Anybody else? Matt, do you have any questions?
No.
So what are we looking for?
Recommendation ladies, and if you, they're agreeing to the condition our letter, so I believe you agree now, so it makes it easier. So I would again just reference our letter. That you would support the conditional use application subject to the conditions outlined in our April 19th, 2023 letter. I would add one other condition, that additional benches and amenities. Well, I mean, so this. Okay. I'm sure we are.
Take that off.
And that would be the only condition then.
So move.
Your second. Those in favor?
Wait, what about opposed?
Opposed?
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Soon, I guess, probably, right?
Just give up months, yeah.
Few months.
Few months.
A few months.
Thank you very much.
With the old wall corner, is anything? You do not. It's not gonna be a park, I'm guessing.
Duncan.
Oh.
Yeah,
Like,
we've something similar nature.
oh, bad. Oh, no.
Next, take care.
Thank you.
There is no solution to those, exhibits, you know, unless they have two, one
Right.
face.
Thank you.
Faces here. Except that we have them all.
Right.
And it's even some.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if. Well, there's no public here. Sketch plan discussion, I think it was Marco's idea to just go over how we would handle sketch plans, being Marco's not here. Entertain a motion to table that until make one of these meetings to tell us what we have in mind.
Well, it's on the condition that we absolutely added to the agenda next.
Absolutely.
When you amend your motion, absolutely.
Zero or not. And the, you know, staff can maybe get some information together, you know, on where it exists in other places, because I know I developed them. We're talking about, sketch plan, policy, procedure, however, you know, for incorporating the residents.
Yeah, it's actually. better to have them there early so we.
That's why we want it to be not so optional.
Yeah, we're updating the subdivision item, so we talked about the staff level. We would, in fact, we talked about whether we do it once or do it again, like we schedule and we. So.
Oh, yeah, both.
We're getting the ordinance now, so we'll definitely make a change. I personally, I would have loved the next 20 years anymore. Feel like very good, it's the last person. And they will listen early on, and like if everybody shows up like 6 months from now, which Paul's been doing this for a year and a half, and then the residents want all the changes, it's really tough to undo it. Yeah,
Well, you said,
yeah, you mentioned,
I don't know if you-
yeah, you mentioned to me, I mentioned Marco, and then I guess that's what I came, in staff to talk about it, and it's a good idea.
just create so much animosity with it, but
I do notice that happens here in regional townships, that the last claim. And if they would have just, gotten a chance to have it earlier.
between us, I feel like, because I don't even want to offer comments unless the public is here. And then even members of this board feel like, well, why didn't you say something earlier? I don't want to, I feel used, I don't even want to get involved with them when they don't want to tell the public.
Well, they're not, by law, we're not,
I
owners, we changed the law.
Right.
Oh, yeah, well. If they're gonna do a sketch plan, let's notify residents within, well, we weren't gonna discuss it, we're gonna discuss it. So, table, right, I second that table.
All those,
Aye. All right, and then this upper church thing is coming back?
I believe they'll be, I don't think they're gonna come back for the sketch plan. I think they're gonna submit preliminary next. Mhm. Yep.
There'll be no.
They had a sketch, they were on the agenda initially, and then they requested to be removed. Yeah.
Second. All opposed? And
yeah. That's.